What's going on, y'all? Corpus Christi Originals back at it again. Real quick shout out to the producer Meyer back there. His birthday's in a few days. Happy birthday, little bro.
Happy
And then
birthday.
also
Happy
got
birthday.
my anniversary coming up. Baby, I love you. Happy anniversary is coming up soon. Today we got community service, talking about community service music and I guess just different stuff with Pete, Megan, and Jenny. Jenny Lee, you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Sure. Megan Chapa.
Megan Chapa?
Jenny Lee Hernandez.
All right.
Pete Treviño.
All right, cool. So you guys, so Jenny reached out, and you mentioned that you wanted her to reach out, right?
Yeah, that's how.
And so it all started like that, and she was like, "Hey, you should get this guy Pete on here. He's got, he pulls up with his trailer and he cooks a bunch of, stuff for the people. So, and what's that about?"
Man, like I said, it was something that I had, my first encounter of ever wanting to do something is, when I lost my dad in 2010. We obviously we came together to do a fundraiser for my dad, and it went well. With being able to do it with my mom and my brothers, and and then just realized that didn't have the support that everybody said that they had for me at the time. Family, friends, and
Oh wow.
So when that day came, it was kind of just me, my mom, and my brothers, and we made it happen. And something told me, I was like, man, I can't be the only one that gets lied to like this, So, with all the bad that happens in Corpus that people like to focus on, I was like, let me try something. And this was in 2010, and here we are, 2025, and it's been a blow and go ever since.
Mm-hmm. Man, it's interesting that you mentioned that about like family members and stuff like that. I talk about that like on my personal channel, as far as like family members just being the way that they are.
Mm-hmm.
You think that it's only people that are outside your family, but then you learn like, oh shoot, they're inside my family, So
Well, it's. I believe in that saying. Sometimes families that blood thicker than water. Like,
yeah, it's like you're raised like that, right? And you're like, dude, what's going on? I thought it was like this, but it's not.
No, it's not. And like I said, I've met so many people over the years that have, to this day, from 2010, that still support anything that I get involved in.
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone. So my whole goal was like, okay, if we sit there and we call Corpus Christi, the city of Christ, but we need to act like it.
Mm-hmm.
We need to not just worry about the violence that happens here. That seems to be the main focus.
Mm-hmm.
So my whole thing was bringing the community together. Like, what can we do? So I didn't even think that the movement would happen.
Mm.
I was just like, I'm gonna try. That's all I can do is try. And like I said, man, it was a blessing in disguise, because it just happened, and it just kept going and going. And then, got to the point where some of us, real close friends, started doing stuff for the homeless. We did 1 year. We even did it was a fundraiser for giving the homeless haircuts, right? And we did like care packages for the women.
Mm-hmm.
Kids. There's homeless kids out here. A lot of people don't, they think it's just adults. There's homeless kids out here too. So it was just, and everything just started flowing. And then all of a sudden, year after year, it's just gotten bigger. So when I started doing it, people was like, like, hey man, we want to help you. We want to pay you. And it was never anything about trying to make money off of it or whatever. It just wanted to bring the community together, bring people together.
Yeah.
Because if we're, like I said, if we're going to call Corpus Christi the city of Christ, we need to act like it, and support. And I'll tell you what, man, like I said, I'm from Houston, Texas. I was born and raised in Houston. I moved to Corpus in 1995. Started my family here. And I've worked all across the United States in the oil and gas business, and I probably will never encounter another city when it comes to support, community support.
Yeah.
That come together to make things happen. And when it does, man, it's just so beautiful. Because you see, people from everywhere. We've done some where, the mayor, shout out to Paulette, like she's helps out 100%. I've done, for the fire chief of Corpus, like, and then just meeting people. And then when they ask me, like, well, Pete, how can we repay you? I'm like, well, you repay me by when you see that we're getting ready to do something, you pay it forward.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you keep the positive and you keep going. So when it gets put out there, people are like, oh, Pete and his team are doing something, or Jenny's doing something, Megan's doing something. Oh, they know that it's solid, it's legit. There's no foul play of anything going on, because we are about the community and making sure that we help out.
Right on, man. That's awesome. So you guys, so y'all know Pete. How did y'all get introduced to Pete?
So I met Pete through a tragedy of a friend of ours.
This one
Reached
here?
out to him for Araya Reese.
Reese.
She unfortunately lost her life through domestic violence. It's been 18 months now. And so Pete was, I don't know who reached out to Pete in order for the fundraiser. And so we just came together. I've known the family for 25 years, and that's how we met each other.
It's cool. So Uriah Ruiz, we were talking about earlier before air that it's a domestic violence situation, and that it's not just among adults; it's among teenagers also.
Right.
Y'all want to touch on that?
We do. So I had the opportunity to speak with her grandmother today. And I don't think enough people realize, what is really going on amongst the teenagers right now. It's not like it was when we were growing up. It's just a whole different, ball game out there now. And what happens, I believe, is that a lot of kids don't speak up, so they're suffering silently, as the family did not know, the type of individual this person was that, took her life. And so I think that is so amongst a lot of teenagers right now that are suffering, behind closed doors, maybe just the fear of, not wanting to put it out there. But Araya is an example of, she was a very, bright, intelligent young girl, and, to just lose her life so senselessly, unfortunately. But through her life, we were able to come together, Pete, Megan, and I, and so to be able to shine that light still, through her memory, so she's still, very much alive in everybody's hearts, and even bringing us here together, she's the one that brought us together. So
That's cool. Yeah. So do y'all think that it has an impact what y'all are doing? I guess as far as bringing this to light, do you know what I'm
We
saying?
would hope so. I mean,
Uh-huh. Cool. And we were talking earlier before air. You have your music kind of touches on that stuff too, right? As far as
yes,
like
domestic violence.
and
Yes,
stuff like
yes,
that.
I do.
Do you think do y'all think it's prominent like in our culture?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
you think it's in every culture? I mean,
I think it's in every culture.
mhm.
There's a lot of women that just don't speak up. I have a lot of family members that to this day don't speak up.
I wonder why we don't say nothing. You know what I mean? That
It,
boggles my mind. Like
it
either we say something and nobody listens.
it's a lot of manipulation.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a lot of it is manipulated.
Right on.
Situations and things like that. Yeah.
What's going on, Mike and Donald in the YouTube chat? Thanks a lot, you guys, for joining. Thank you, everybody on TikTok. Check out the live video on YouTube. Yeah. So let's see. So I guess we'll go through each one of y'all. Jenny talk. So what was the turning point for you to engage deeply in community work? Any?
honestly, I've always done it, as long as I can remember. But I've always been behind the scenes. I'm just that type of person. That I give, but never in the forefront of anything. I'm the one who always helps orchestrate and put any and everything together. And so I think you're just born with it. It's not anything you could teach somebody. It's you just have that heart. And so I can remember being a little girl and always having that, desire, to help. And so being able to meet like-minded people such as Pete and Megan is just so beautiful because there's no questions asked. You're just going to put the work in, regardless of what it takes, because we all have full-time jobs.
Yeah.
We have families. And so, but I don't think there's anything more rewarding in life than being able to give, and help people that cannot help themselves at that time, at that very moment, and unfortunately we meet families in the middle of a crisis.
Yeah.
And so to be able to provide that support, because we're complete strangers,
Right.
and so it really, I think, helps to instill in people that there's still really good people in this world, that we can come together, because it's not just, you'd be surprised how many people are just behind the scenes that come through and help. We've been very fortunate, as like Pete said, he put something together, and people are going to support. We put it out there, people will support because they know the cause, and the meaning that it is behind, because you never know when it's going to be you,
Mm.
or it could be your family that needs
Right.
help. So to be able to orchestrate such things as Pete does, the magnitude that it is, it's just a really beautiful thing. So I believe that we're just born with it. Not everybody's born with that desire to help
Mm.
and that heart, to give and just be selfless, because that's really what it comes down to. Because there's no exchange of money. It's just pure heart, and
Right.
it's really what it is.
Right on, right on. And so I guess how does so you guys are in the oil field, right? Y'all were mentioning that earlier. So how does your work in the oil field intersect with community service?
Well, it's deeply talked about in my neck of the woods. You know what I mean? I'm on the gas side of things, and you know what I mean. So I have a lot of time where I sit, because a lot of my coworkers, they ask questions like, "Hey, Pete, man, we're always seeing you on TV, man. You're always,
Oh,
saying,
cool.
and then they've seen the awards that Corpus Christi has given me. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
He's a
know,
the KRIS angel.
Oh, right on.
Yes.
yeah,
Cool.
April of last year, man, unexpectedly I got presented with the Carry Six Angel Award.
Nice.
Which anybody who knows me will tell you, like, I was one of the ones, like Jenny said, that I was always behind the scenes until a few years back. This old lady that I met that showed up at a benefit, and she's like, "How come you don't ever do interviews? How come you don't ever go on the news?" And I said, "Well, that's not what I do this for."
Yeah.
And she's like, "Well, some of us don't have TikTok and Facebook and stuff like that. Some of us still watch TV."
Right.
When she said that, I was like, wow, she has a very valid point.
Cool.
So she's like, some of us like to help that don't have that type of access to social media.
Mm.
So I started, getting more, and then just before the in April when I got that award, back in September, I got the Hispanic Heritage Award. You know what I mean? And they did that, and of course, everybody knows I was the one that went out there to Uvalde when everything happened, and so that's just kind of where things just started taking a bigger toll.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And like, to the point where, I used to do it all by myself until I started meeting people that had the same type of heart that I did.
Mm.
Because like I said, I work a full-time job, but if I say I'm gonna do something, I do it, no matter if I have to cancel something. If I said I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. And anybody that knows, they know me. The three of us have done where, we've had a very successful fundraiser, and the family's like, "Hey, this is for y'all," and like, we don't accept money at all. You know what I'm saying? And we've done some pretty big fundraisers where big money was raised, and the family's like, "Hey, this is for y'all." I'm like, "How you pay me is when you see that we're gonna do something else.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you buy a loaf of bread. That's paying it forward. That's
Right.
you paying homage. Like, hey, man, this team of people help me.
Yeah.
I want to help out now." And like I said, like right now, the way I told you, what I mean, I'm doing one. Like Jenny said just a while ago, you never know when it's you that needs the help. And as everybody that knows, like, I'm actually doing one for my brother right now,
Yeah.
who's been battling stage 4 colon cancer for
Yeah, sorry.
4.5 years. And we got the phone call that he doesn't have very much time. So I'm like, it's time for me to step up.
Mm-hmm.
And for my little brother and make this. So when I reached out to Jenny, I reached out to Megan, and they're like, and the whole community, because everybody that's showing up is just people that I've met along the way, the journey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they've been supporting me for years. You know what I mean? And it's a beautiful thing. So we talk about it a lot at work in oil and gas, because they're, that is your second brotherhood and sisterhood, because we spend so much time together.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it gets talked about a lot. So it's a big thing, because even my company that I work for, when they see that I'm doing stuff, hey, Pete, we hear you doing something like that. Hey, man, here's a monetary donation.
Mm-hmm.
Here's some, we want to buy this and this and that.
That's
So
cool.
the company I work for is very heavily involved in, helping community and doing stuff like that as well.
Yeah, right on. So like there could be people out there that are like, they're doing all this stuff, but they're doing it because of this. They're trying to get something out of it, right? How do you find yourself like dealing with that type of negativity from the community?
Well, so the thing about that is that I can say for myself, and maybe as well as Jen and Megan, we haven't seen that type of negativity.
Mm.
We haven't, what I'm saying? Like, because they know what type of person she is. They know what type of person she is. They know what type of person I am. You know what I mean? So it's never like, oh, they want something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because, there's people watching right now that have supported us, that have tried to give us money. And I was just like, this is not what we do it for.
Right,
like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? It's either, like Jay said, it's either you have a heart for it or you don't. You know what I'm saying? And not everybody has the same magnitude of a heart. You know what I'm saying? To help. Because like I said, I'll drop whatever. If I say I'm going to do it, no matter if I was going to take my kids to Fiesta, Texas, if I committed to something, I can't back out of it. And if it's rare that I ever do, that's what the team's for. You know what I'm saying? Because I can reach out to the team and they're like, hey, Pete, we got you. You know, just help us plan it all together, put everybody in place. Pete and his team of guys that stick outside. These are the ladies and everybody else behind them that stay inside, putting everything together. So at one point it was, it was just me and my wife that was doing it by ourselves. And then when we just started picking people, they started having the same heart. It was just like, oh wow, met Megan and her family, her dad, her mom, brothers and sisters. They're no questions asked. Jenny, she'll call like, hey, people, what do you need? I'm going out of town, but here, you know what I'm saying? I'll go do this, I'll go do that. So, I haven't really encountered any type of negativity like that. They're like, oh, they're just doing it for clout, or they're doing it because they want something. Yeah. Like I can honestly say I've never encountered anything like that, because we're always like, we did one for a good friend of ours that was the fire chief here that, passed away a couple months ago. That was very, very dear to me and Megan. Right. You know what I mean? It was a big part of some events that we did for him. And you know what I mean? And so it's not just the poor people that people say in the hood that, don't have life insurance. I mean, this was a fire chief that has saved so many lives putting fires out.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? Like we had, when we did the fundraiser for him, we had people coming up, they're like, man, Mark Solis saved my house 15 years ago. Wow. You know what I mean? We want to donate to him. We want to do this. And so that stuff like that. So that negative stuff, I mean, if it is out there, it doesn't come direct.
Right. How's it going, Francesca? Thank you for joining the podcast, Mama. That's my daughter.
Hello.
Yeah. So it's interesting you mentioned life insurance. Do you think that's something that our community doesn't know a lot about, and maybe it's like we should know, so to be prepared? You know what I'm saying?
We just had this conversation last night because a good friend of mine works for New York Life. Right, been with them a long time. I got my insurance policies through him, and he said, Pete, I'd like to go to one of your fundraisers and benefits and talk to families. He says, I know not everybody's money's different. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you can't get $100,000 insurance policy, but there's something that you can put in place for your family.
Right.
And I thought it was a great idea. I was like, man, I said, because it's not always just about that insurance guy trying to make money off that. We need that. Like, we're not taught,
right,
as Hispanics, Mexicans, to understand that. I didn't understand what life insurance was. And I'm 46 years old. It wasn't until like 7 years ago when I really like, oh wow, we need that. Like, I mean, how do I prepare my family? How do I prepare my kids? You know, for generational wealth and stuff like that. You know, so I speak about it a lot because of my friend that I have done business with life insurance and stuff, and I'll try to educate people like, get it. I mean, some of the policies are $10 a month. I mean, even if it's just whatever you can do, because you can't just think about yourself. Right. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing that I finally learned is understanding, is like, now that I sat down with him and, he put stuff in perspective, and not just being a salesman trying to sell me something. Like, he broke down on a personal level of things that made sense to me. Right. Because, credit and life insurance is one thing that doesn't come in the Hispanic culture. I mean, our parents, my parents didn't know what that was. Right. They didn't know what credit was. So when I turned 18, I got my first Target card for $500. I knew that. I was like, oh, man, credit card. Yeah. Not realizing that was going to haunt me in the years to come. Right. Yeah, exactly. So now that I'm older, I'm like I cherish credit. Like, I take care of it like it's, platinum. Like, I take very good care of it. You know what I mean? So, and I think, we need to shed light on that. We need to, if you have it, you need to educate it onto your families and friends and people that, because if you can go buy a 12-pack of beer that costs $20, that $20 can get you life insurance. Yeah. And then there's different camps too. Like, do you do whole life? You do short term? You know what I mean? So there's a bunch of different ones.
I mean, I'm very educated, and through New York Life, I have a great agent. But the moment my kids are born, as soon as that Social Security number comes in, they're insured, because people don't realize that is an easy way to set your kids up for the future. So if you're investing, because it's an investment that we're putting into our children, at birth, and putting in like even $50 a month, by the time they're 18, and you have a universal policy, they're able to get $80,000, easy, depending on the market. But I think it's just a lack of education,
Yeah.
not only in the Hispanic culture, but all the way around. Unfortunately, people are not educated enough to know,
Yeah.
how cost efficient life insurance is. And then it really saves the burden on the families, because it is a huge burden when, somebody passes and there's no life insurance. And so, yeah, I think it really needs to be shed the light on that,
See, and that was the biggest. So that was the other turning point of why I wanted to do this whole community thing years ago, is because not everybody can afford life insurance, and it's not no bad on them. You know what I mean? People always like, oh well, they could have made better decisions, and you're right. You know what I mean? That's, but at the same time, what I mean. We're not here to pass judgment on how somebody's life is. I mean, if we're going to sit there, we're going to say that we're going to do community work, we're going to help, we're going to be there for the, not just the culture, just people. You know what I'm saying? Because we've done benefits for all cultures across the board.
Right.
So that was the the upside. It was like, okay, not everybody can afford life insurance. They're trying. They they got jobs. They just cannot meet the means of paying $50 a month or $20 a month, because that $20 to them is like giving away $1 million.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's just got me into just like, well, hey, you know what I mean? When the families, they lose a loved one, kids, and I hate to say this, and they both could contest to this. I buried more kids than I ever want to think about. From not just horrible dads, horrible mothers. You know what I'm saying? Grandmothers, like, from all across the walks of it. You know what I mean? So it's an emotional thing that, because we get attached. You know what I'm saying? We get attached to these families because, they look at us like, like, you guys saved my family. You saved us. I'm like, we just want to be there. You know what I'm saying? In this time, and you shouldn't have to think about, no parent wants to bury a child.
Right.
So when you got somebody that's willing to do the right thing, and help, that's a less burden. You know what I'm saying? So you're not sitting there, grieving and then trying to plan what kind of casket do I do? Do we have enough money? Do we have this? And so it's
it's like when you have like something in place to be able to pay for the death of a loved one, the family can grieve instead of worried about like, oh, we got to figure out how to pay for this, and then not even be in debt for the casket or the grave later on. You know what I mean? So I think that having something in place for when that time comes is important for us. And that's one thing that I push. I'm a term life guy. I'm not a whole life guy, because I think that whole life is it's worse than term. It's not as good because they take more of your money. You know what I mean? I don't think it's good. I like term. That's just my thing. But yeah, definitely. Even
what
like
happens when
having
you
a
go
will.
through the term? If you get a term for 30 years and you surpassed it, and then now you can't qualify for insurance because of health reasons.
I mean, I don't know. Term life is better because I think that anything that's like other than term, the first money that you put up front, it goes to the agent. It goes to them. And then when you die, say you do pass away or whatever, and then all that money that supposedly you're putting in a savings account, it's gone. When that whole time you could have put that extra money to like a Roth IRA. And in that case, whenever you do pass away, that money goes to your kids. It doesn't go nowhere. So if you have term is just basically it's going to replace your income when you're gone. So if you have 10 times of what you make, say $500,000 or whatever, you pass away, that money is supposed to replace your income when you're gone. Your kids and your wife, you're getting that whatever you made a year. Your family gets that while you're gone. That's basically what it's for. And I wouldn't use it as an investment vehicle because that's what you have like a Roth IRA for, and you get to choose your investments in that. And I think that our culture needs that because like you're saying, like these benefits that you're putting on, you meet all kinds of people that don't know what's going on. And it's like, dude, man, and you want to do something about it, right? You're like, man, how do I get people to know this? Because when the time like this happens, families pass away or a little girl passes away, they're covered. You know what I mean? That the family can grieve, they can pay for court fees or whatever they have to pay for from that money's. That's what it's there for, I think.
Right.
And like we just had a kid too, and our kid is covered also with on like I don't think you were mentioning it, but get one for them. You know, if they pass away, you know, at least they're covered if something passes away. It's just like basically you're planning ahead.
Right.
We're planning ahead, and then another main thing too is like budgeting. Like
Right.
nobody budgets. Like
Nobody.
it's an ugly word. It's like ooh, like a bad word. But once you do that, once you do the budget, you're like, okay, now I see where my money is going. I see how much money I do have to be able to put to retirement, kids' college, you know, for short term savings or whatever you want to do with the money. So I just think being mindful of finances in our culture is important because we make a lot of money in a year. I mean, we're in the oil field. You know what I mean? We make enough money to be able to pay for our lifestyle now and to be able to pay for our kids' lifestyle later. And we're just and two, we get scared because it's like we think that money is bad or we think that it's evil. Oh, you know what I mean? Because we grew up in that culture, like, oh, he's got a lot of money, he can pay for it. You know what I mean? Just that mentality that people have, that we have. You know what I mean? And I'm guilty of it too. It's just like we have to be responsible with the things that we have, responsible with the things that we're given. Yeah. So I want. Sorry. Thanks for letting me talk about that. I'm real passionate about that stuff. So moving on to Big Bertha, who's your barbecue pit, and you got this during the Uvalde crisis.
Yeah, so I happened to be working. I was in Salmon, Idaho, working over there in a coal mine, and didn't have very much service out there. So I hadn't really been on social media. So I'm come home after 4 months, and you know, people are calling me. They're like, "Hey, I know you're gonna go." I'm like, what are y'all talking about? They're like, "You ain't heard?" I'm like, "Heard what? Like what? I haven't been on my social media account or Facebook or nothing." They're like, "Get on Facebook and then call me back." So I get on it, and of course I see the news feed, the flood.
Wow.
And I was like, what in the world? So I had a weekend planned for my daughter because I said I hadn't seen her in 4 months. So we were going to go to San Antonio, Fiesta, Texas, you know what I mean? The zoo. It was a weekend dedicated to her.
Yeah.
So, you know, everybody's blowing me up, and I was just like, you know, we'll see. You know what I'm saying? Well, when I was the next day, Mrs. Cooper, which is Mr. Cooper's wife, reached out to me about a barbecue pit that she had. And I had seen it on Market Square, but I was just like, it's, you know, it's a little out of my budget. You know what I mean? So I was like, she reached out, and I was like, you know what? She's reaching out. Let me at least go see it. So I went to go see it, and of course, man, it's any real barbecue guy, you see a pit like that,
They
that's
already
your
know.
dream.
Wow.
So when I see her, I was like, oh my God, like, look how massive she is. Because I saw the pictures that she had on Market Square. I was like, damn, she's big.
Wow.
And then, like I said, Big Bertha's is that you have to see her to really acknowledge
That's
her
cool.
mass, right? She's 27 feet long. She's 56-inch pipe. She's got 8 doors and 8 sides.
It's funny how you refer to it as like a lady. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's funny, right?
but the thing is, like I said, you know, shout out to my brother Terry Amy because he's the one that gave her the name. So he's like, man, that's Big Bertha. I'm
Big
like,
Bertha.
hey, let's run with it.
Cool.
So we did, and I started making phone calls. I made a post. The post went viral. As soon as I put it out there that, hey, I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
You know, I had just backed up Bertha into my house.
Wow.
And then I put it out there. Post went viral. I started getting calls from the secretaries from Thomas J. Henry.
Wow.
Doctors, people. I mean, everywhere.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, Pete, like you got an open account at Sam's. Go get whatever you need. You got an open account at HEB. Go get whatever you need.
Wow.
And so we ended up leaving the next. Well, let me back up a little bit. So when I put it all together, I was like, hey, I got a team. I'll send the team out there. They'll go do it. And then my daughter, she was like 7 at the time, she's like, no, Dad, we got to go help the kids. So she chose not for me to take her to go, which was a weekend for her. And was like, no, Dad, we got to go help the kids. So that's how I know what I'm doing out here is impacting her. Because they both know her. She's over there right now. But helping,
She's
Yeah.
packing up the onions and everything
doing,
right
turning
now.
on the barbecue
Put
pit.
her to
all the
work.
time. So we did that, and next thing you know, dude, like we I went with so many 16-foot trailers full of food. I was only supposed to go for 1 day.
No.
We ended up being there 3 days and cooked over 6,000 leg quarters. And then, and it was just, like I said, it was a nightmare, man. You know what I mean? Like I said, I got to meet some of the families. I met the guy that killed the kid. That was very, 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 very touching for me, because
Wow.
that man is going to be haunted for the rest of his life, because he was an ex Border Patrol agent. He was getting a haircut when he found out. I mean, he was the one that ran past all the police, went on there, and he did what he did.
Wow.
So my thing was, I was just like, man, this, talking with him, he was just like, Pete, I've seen a lot of stuff as a Border Patrol agent. I've seen dead bodies, seen kids, he said, but my training never prepared me for what I saw in that classroom. I'm saying,
Yeah.
and he just broke down, and of course, I'm 46 years old now. Now I can cry. Before, you could have never caught me crying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we just said, we embraced, and we talked, and I met some of the families, and so like I said, we went out there, man. It was only supposed to be 1 day. You know what I mean? And me, my brother Terry Amy, shout out to Terry Amy, and then my big brother Earl Dotson. Earl Dotson played for the Green Bay Packers for 10 years, right? So he's a big inspiration on how that helps me behind the scenes of stuff, but always a supporter.
Yeah.
He knows I'm a big Cowboy fan, so we kind
Oh,
of
come on.
Yeah, so we get into it a lot, but no questions asked. We ended up, helping out a lot of the families there. One family in particular, I ended up just kind of adopting like a big brother, because one of the kids I found out ended up being like a hero and broke through the window and got his classmates out of the room before his room got shot up.
Oh.
So to this day, I'm very close to them. I'm forever entitled to Uvalde. We ended up, when they had their march 3 months later, I went over there and we cooked 3,500 brisket and sausage tacos. And then I went for the 1 year anniversary, and then I went for the 2nd year anniversary. I didn't get to do this one, but I sent some guys out there to go. So every year, like I'm dedicated to making sure that I go and I support whatever they got going in memory of the kids and the teachers. That so, and then since then, like Bertha has just been on a mission. Like, I mean, every Saturday and Sunday of all last year, well, the past 3 years has been Bertha doing something. So she's kind of made a name for herself. People stop when they see her. Normally, you'll catch her on Sutherland's. That's usually what we do a lot of the
Right.
Sutherland's. So when they see her, they're like, "Oh, Pete's over there." You know what I'm saying? And they pull up and they don't even ask no questions. They pull up and support. So
Cool.
she, you know what I mean? Shout out to Big Bertha. She's doing what she does. She's going to continue. You know what I mean? I've been offered money for people to buy her. I don't have the heart to do it, because my whole goal was to have something that I can just always use for the community at all times.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So she's doing what she did. She hasn't let nobody down, man. She's a good girl.
So you had like a GoFundMe? Did it get fixed?
So we're still working. We're still working on getting her fixed, and I think maybe I kind of went a little too early because it was holidays and people, you know what I mean. So we're still working on getting her fixed. She'll be ready to go here in the next couple months,
That's
where she's
cool,
going to
bro.
be, like ready to rock and roll and continue however many more years that she needs to be going. But like I said, man, if y'all see her, man, y'all stop. People, I've taken her out of town and done, I've done benefits out of town. You know what I mean? So, people they'll stop. Hey, you mind if I take a picture? Go ahead. So people know her more than they know me. You know,
That's
because
cool.
they see, because like I said, you see a big old bar, you don't just see something. You don't see something like Bertha just rolling around on a trailer. You know what I'm saying? Normally, there's big pits here that people have, but they're stationary. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Bertha's on a 2-wheel
On
axle.
wheels, bro.
On wheels. You know what I mean? So, and then she got a big old bell. So when the guy that put Mr. Cooper, when he put the bell, he put the bell for the kids. So when the food was ready, he let the kids ring the bell.
Oh, cool.
So when I got it, I was ready to take the bell off because it's annoying.
Oh.
But I knew what that bell meant to
What it
him to
meant.
put for the kids. So, and my daughter said if I did that, she would disown me. So I
I don't know.
but I could go on with a list of people that inspired me to do this. I mean, they know who they are. I don't have to mention them, but they've, just over years have just, put faith in me that just built my confidence of just never wanting to tell somebody no. Like, especially when it came to kids, like I don't have a heart to tell a kid no. You know what I'm saying? I just don't have it. And so that's why when it's, even when I'm out of state working, I mean, they call it, hey, well, I don't know how to do this. I was like, oh, okay. Then I start a group chat, me, Megan, and Jenny, like, hey, girls, we got to get, time to work. You know what I mean? And they're there. You know what I'm saying? They're there no matter what. Even if they can't be there present, they're helping me get donations. They're helping me, you know what I'm saying, doing stuff. So it's just a circle, man. You know what I mean? And we just always want to keep the positive just there. You know what I mean? And I've had people that 10 years ago that, when we was going to clubs, I mean, we would have never interacted.
Yeah.
And now they're some of my biggest supporters. Awesome. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just like, we're grown now. I mean, some of us are pushing 50. We're almost 50. Like, let's do something so the kids see the role. You know what I mean? And so they be like, wow. So we've had kids. Her kids are very involved as well. They come. So I've had, Carroll kids from Carroll High School, King, they'll call, because we do for Carroll High School, we help with their booster for their turkey leg sale. Big Bertha goes out there and cooks for them. You know what I mean? So, and then kids want to get involved and want to help, and that's our movement. Right. That's what we want these kids to see, like not going out there and breaking into her house or breaking into her car and, stuff like that. Like, let's show them something positive. Oh, yeah. They're only going to do what's in front of them. Right. And you give any kid, if you don't give them direction, they're gonna run wild. So you know what I mean. I'm a father of 5 girls. You know what I mean. So I had to be extra tough. You know what I'm saying. My oldest is 28. So you know what I mean. I almost had to treat them like young boys. To let them understand, like you're not gonna be like these girls that you see out here doing stuff like So now my girls are heavily involved in. Yeah. You know what I mean? What we do in the community and helping, stuff like that. Like I said, Megan's kids has it. Hers, Jenny's, baby will be there soon. You know what I'm saying?
Well, no, my 12-year-old is, and that's the thing is like what Pete's saying, kids are a product of their environment. And so unfortunately, some kids don't come from good environments, but for the ones that do, it's important that we instill that in our children to know like it's better to give than to receive. So my, on a personal level, just my family, my son, we do a lot for the homeless community, cool. And so every holiday we're out there, Christmas, we're out there, finding, it's just a community that is forgotten a lot, but I have the heart for them because it's somebody's sister, mother, brother, so that's out there just lost, and so the kids see that, and they end up developing those core values of the importance in life. And it's really not to attain things, but it's to give, just to give and help others, especially people who cannot help themselves or even give back, and so our kids do emulate us. They really do.
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff there. Certified Elite, thank you for joining the YouTube chat. Yeah, man. There's a lot of good stuff y'all talked on. Like your daughter being involved in giving and helping support the community. That's good for them, I think, to build that muscle. You know what I mean?
Well, she is just like today.
Even your son or your kids.
Yeah, so and another thing that she did, she knew that we were doing this for her uncle. So it's just like, Dad, can I sell popcorn and pickles that day? I mean, if she sells $20 worth, that's just something that she feels I did that for my uncle. Yeah, and and then now she's just like, well, Dad, since you bought me my popcorn, I could do this for other. When you do benefits, I can have my little booth on. So now she's getting a taste of that, and it's just being instilled in her, and she's learning, and now she's like, Dad. We were just talking before we came over here. She's like, Dad, like, when are we going to do something for the homeless? Well, I know Jenny always does stuff. You know what I'm saying? Megan has done stuff, and I got other friends that have done stuff when, so I'm like, okay, well, maybe the 5 or 6 of us need to get together and come up with a game plan that way we could do something. That's because it is a lost community that people forget because they're like, oh, well, they're homeless because they chose to be. Maybe that's so. Yeah. Maybe so. But they're still human beings. And one of the things that my mom always said is that, and I feel like I got a lot of my wanting to help from my mom because my mom was a special needs teacher.
So you learned it from your parent, like your folks?
So my mom was always, my mom didn't care what you were. I mean, my mom lived on Mary Street. That's a high prostitute area. Yeah. My mom never judged them. My mom would barbecue outside and make sure they had a plate. If they needed women products, my mom gave it to them. So they took care of my mom through Mary Street for a long time. So they never judged her. My mom was like, you don't judge them. That's somebody's daughter. You don't know what they're going through. It could be you one time. So we always just grew up with, my mom said that you don't judge somebody's downfall. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause you don't know what they did to get there. You know what I mean? Maybe they're trying to get out of it. Maybe they're not. But we're not there to judge. You just make sure. And my mom just always felt like you should never turn anybody away from a meal. If you have it and you have the means to help somebody eat, let me. Don't look at them and just watch and be like, oh yeah, I mean, I'm eating a double meat. You know what I mean? Oh, he should have listened in school. That's not the attitude to have. You know, because you don't know what it took for him to get to that point. You know what I mean? You know, maybe he lost his whole family, and you know what I mean, the mental state of just, you know what I mean, I don't have nowhere to go. You know what I mean? And sometimes talking with them, like you learn a lot from them. You know, I've talked to some of them, you know, and I've tried to, you know, I got friends that own construction companies that, hey man, you know what I mean? You guys don't need a couple of, man, there's a couple of guys right here, man. You know, what I mean, they want to work. They're just not
The
asking for a
hardest
handout.
workers too, that
Yeah.
you could
you
pick
mean
up
they just
from,
want to help.
you know, when they would be right there at the where's the Lobes and Fishes? They had like a ministry, the Metro Ministries, and they would, you know, you could pick some up. Those are like the hardest workers I think I've ever hired to do any kind of work. And, you know, it's really amazing that, you know, a lot of people, there's just a stigma, you know, around that, but how much they actually take care of each other. Cause, you know, or like they know, like they'd see me pulling up every Sunday. So it's funny because I started feeding the homeless this way, you know, I would buy meal preps, like expensive meal preps. And then I'm like, okay, I'm not going to follow this diet. And so the food would be there, right, in my fridge. I'm like, well, I can't let this food go to waste. So I'd warm it up and go feed. And then I had the opportunity to meet the owner of La Playa on Saratoga, and he would give me all the leftovers at the end of the night.
Nice.
And so I would just go out there personally, you know, and go and feed, you know. And so just kind of go from there. But they take care of each other. You know, they're like, hey, my friend is down there, you know, coming. Can you please give me a plate for them? Or, you know, and so it's a good thing, honestly.
And that's what we do.
Yes.
Actually, after every benefit that we have, any leftovers that we have,
Start making
leftover
plates and we go.
burgers, brisket, whatever we have, we start making plates.
If nobody takes
and
anything, like we'll always be like, "Hey, Jenny, you want to take some
do you
pulled
need
pork,
some
or
for
you
the
want-"
family, whatever.
Nah, man, let's just make sandwiches. Go
We
take it
make
downtown."
sandwiches, and that's the first thing we do. We load them all up into the trucks, and we go all downtown, around town, especially Ayers. There's a lot down Ayers going down that way.
Agnes over by
And
me
it's
to
it's like
feed
she
you.
said, they're already waiting. They're like, well, my friend's right there. Can you give them one too? We're like, yeah, tell them to come by, you know.
Yep.
And so that's, I really feel for the homeless people, you know what I mean? And we do eventually need to plan something all
Yes.
together and do something big for them as well, you know. We do a lot for,
Well, it's just like, you know, like I said, like I've been in a lot of states, cities all across the world. I've never seen anything how people come together like Corpus, man. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like it's amazing just to see that people don't even know each other. You know what I mean? And if you did, you know what I mean, maybe you had beef with that person 10 years ago, but just the fact that we can all come together right here, we can cook, we're sitting there next to each other, making sandwiches, planning all this stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then at the end of everything, like, hey, bro, appreciate that, man. You know, the embracing, you know what I mean? And it's just like, it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really, you have to be there one day.
Powerful, like that community is powerful.
You have to be there seeing it so that you can understand that, like, wow, okay, I see
the unity.
the unity of what community is supposed to stand for. You know what I'm saying? Like it's supposed to stand, you know, we all come together and, you know, make something beautiful without listening to the news media and seeing all the hate, you know, the people getting killed and, you know, senseless acts of violence. And I said, you know, she brought up these young kids, you know what I mean? They're going through domestic violence and it's being overlooked, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Yeah. Man, that's a lot of stuff. Whenever it makes me think about like doing something for somebody else. I always like look at it from a lens of like, how can I help that person to where they can't help me in that way?
You want to know?
You know what I'm saying?
You want to know? There's one celebrity, bro, and when I say his name, you're gonna be like, "Oh, I seen him." There's one celebrity that I learned something from like 12 years ago, and when he said that, it just made the perfect sense of why I started. You know, Shaquille O'Neal, when he said that, he says every day he wakes up, he blesses somebody. He'll go to Walmart if he sees kids like that, he buys them whatever they want, and not because he's trying to like. Anybody that's followed him knows that that's just his character. Like he genuinely loves to help kids. So when he said that like that, when I heard him say that 12 years ago, you know, 14, I was like, wow. I mean, even if it's just one person, you know, you just bought somebody a meal.
Yeah.
Not because you want to be there on the gram, like, oh, look what I did for this person. No, just genuinely doing it. I mean, that's that 10 times fold. You know what I mean? Where, you get your blessings from it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
without thinking that, oh, I'm going to get something in return. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
we've all been, I mean, where we've had families like, hey, Pete, here's $3,000, man. We raised a lot. Like, I don't need your money, man. This is, just stay tuned for
It's a
the next
different
benefit.
feeling
You know
when
what I
you
mean?
do
Oh,
it,
it is.
Uh-huh.
and like every time I've done these, I could be having the worst week ever, and not feeling well. I have my own health issues, and one thing I hear all the time from my family and my friends are like, "Girl, I don't know how you do it. How do you have the energy?" I don't have the energy, by the way. So it's just one of those things that it's something that, it's like all my pain, all the work, they go away because I'm helping this family at this time. And it's like I put all my stuff aside because in this moment, that's what's making me feel full. You know what I
Right.
mean? And it's something that I'll continue to do over and over and over again. It makes me, it fulfills me,
Do you ever get to the point where it's like you okay, yeah, that's good. You do that. Do you ever get to the point where it's like, okay, I need to chill for a minute
No.
because okay.
No, not what I mean,
We get
don't,
that asked a lot.
yeah,
Yeah,
we
just
get asked that a lot, but you know what?
Because you can get to the point where it's like, wait, I'm not even focused. I haven't even focused on my. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like to the point where you're like, oh shit.
And that's
Just
what
for-
I'm
you
saying.
know what I'm
My
saying?
family literally, because they know what I go through on a daily or anything, right? And so they freak out. My friends, especially my neighbors, they're like,
Yeah.
"Girl, I see you on the go. Like, I don't know how you do it. I don't even know
either.
how I do it, But I tell them it's because I'm doing for somebody else, and I feel like when I'm doing for others, it's like it's like I can wait.
Yeah.
But I'm present for them, and like I said, I'll do it over and over again, until I can't walk anymore, you know what I mean? And
Well,
there's
my
a lot of
family-
times I'm in
my
pain
family
out there,
took
but
a-
I'm still doing it. I'm like,
My
no,
family
let's do
took
it,
a lot to it one day. You know what I mean? Some of my family, they're like, you'll stop eventually. And I was like, I said, I'm gonna tell you what I tell people when they tell me like, bro, are you ever gonna rest? I said, I rest when the good Lord takes me.
It's just something
saying-
so empowering, honestly.
Yeah.
I've had, the opportunity to do a lot of great things in life,
Yes.
and to experience a lot of things, thank God, but nothing comes close to that feeling of being able to just be present for people, and just really loving on people right where they're at, because again, we encounter people usually at their lowest,
At their lowest point.
and so to be able just to be that person for them, it's just such a beautiful thing. I can't even describe that I'm always so emotional,
Yes.
when it comes to
After
that, like a
it's
big
done,
crybaby,
yeah.
like literally, because
Even during.
oh yeah,
see it.
it's just something that it's just in you.
It's like a life. It's
It
a
is.
lifestyle.
It
I
is.
mean,
It
you develop
really
a
is.
lifestyle, and it's like you want to keep doing
You
it for
have to
somebody.
be
It's
willing
part
to
of your
do it.
life. It's part of who you
Yeah.
are.
Well, I always tell
As a
people like
person.
this is one of the things that I said when they had gave me the Hispanic Heritage Award. So when they interviewed me, the guy tells me, he's like, what keeps you saying yes? So there's only one thing that keeps me saying yes is the man upstairs. I said, so when I encounter a family, it's almost like a text message. Like I feel like he said, like, okay, Pete, I done showed you what's out there. What are you gonna do? And one thing you don't do is deny the man upstairs, right? Because you can be denied your access to the pearly gate. So I always look at it like, okay, this person crossed my path. He got sent here for a reason. So who am I to tell him that, hey, bro, I can't do it? So it took my family, even my daughters, because they were like, Dad, you never spend time with us. And you got to understand what I'm trying to stand for. And saying, once you do that, then you'd be like, okay, now I understand why Dad's doing this. And now they do, like, they completely understand. So now their involvement is coming in now. So they're like, well, if Dad stands up for it, like, we're going to stand up for it too.
Yeah.
So that's what I say. It's just empowering your children to do the right thing and show them, like, you don't just have to be, because how much time do we spend when we're just at the house and we're just like, we're not doing nothing.
Is there?
Man, look at that. You can go help somebody.
Yeah, if I'm
I'm
doing
saying
that, I'd
you
rather
sit there,
be
you go
helping
help somebody,
somebody.
and that's why I said Shaquille O'Neal, when he said that, it hit me hard. So I was like,
Yeah.
because he goes, every day I wake up, I have to bless somebody. It doesn't have to be, giving them $100,000, but that kid right there, you see that kid, he's looking at a bike. He probably never had a bike in his life. Giving that kid that bike, will spark something. Tupac said it for his own words. I may not be the brain that changes the world, but I might be able to spark somebody
Yeah.
and that could change the world, and those are empowering words.
See, and I
man.
don't think you have to have money to do that
No.
either.
No.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like how, like I look at it like, okay, how can I bless this person to where they can't give it back to me? Like they can't, like say it's an old person trying to lift up something heavy. I'm a young person, I can do it for them. They may be able to, you know what I mean? But you know what I'm saying. So it doesn't have, you don't have to do it with, you don't have to have money to be able,
No.
to be able to
absolutely
basically
Just
do
your
something like that.
time, honestly. Even if you had, time, and it's the power of social media now. Even if you can't give, because there's a lot of people, going through it, right?
Just come and help.
Just share. Even if you share, the post, it really goes a long way. But social media, is the platforms, if we use them correctly, it's a great thing.
It's free advertisement.
It is. It really
Free.
is. And so people that
But it
can't
can
give,
destroy you.
yeah,
Yeah.
it really can.
That's the thing, bro. That's the thing. Something that's good, like it can become bad.
So
You know what I
bad.
mean?
Yeah.
So bad.
Was it like I was telling a buddy of mine, and one thing that I've always felt that Corpus lacks
Mhm.
is small businesses uniting,
Mm.
because they're always hating on each other. Oh well, he started this. He knew I started doing that 5 years ago. I saw this meme on Facebook one time. Right, is that when you go down a bread aisle, how many bread companies do you see? Right, you see a lot. You
Yeah.
see some of them from 25 cents a loaf, $3 a loaf, $6 a loaf, and they're all making money. So why would you take the time of day to sit there and hate on somebody I said, you didn't invent anything. I don't think anybody said that, oh, I invented that. No, you didn't. You took an idea from somebody else and you tweaked it.
Do you think it's because we have like a sort of a small city or
Yeah.
small community that
Absolutely.
so everybody's
Absolutely.
fighting for the money
But the
basically
thing
that
is,
they
is
can
like,
make.
Like I always told some of my friends, I was like, do you serve all 300,000 people that live in Corpus? No. So why are you going to hate on the person that's trying to do the same thing you're doing? If you're that offended, then step your game up.
Mm.
Step your game up and be like, okay, how can I be better? Because at the end of the day, business is a competition. I have to be better than anybody else so that my business succeeds.
Right.
So, and that goes for the food industry, oil and gas industry,
Right.
Podcasting, like everything. Like what's going to make
What sets you apart?
Yeah, what's going to set you
basically?
different? That's going to be like, man, I like these other podcasts. But I want to go over there. This dude, the way he touches on subjects, nobody brings the type of energy he does. You know what I'm saying? And that's across the board. You know what I'm saying? From corporate level to the smallest people.
Right.
I'm saying, like, what sets you apart that people are going to want to pay attention?
Right.
And I feel like, with Corpus is just like, everybody's wanting to do the same thing and do it alike instead of trying to be different and, and not worry about how he's, servicing, 10,000 people. Well, figure out how you can get 20,000 people. I'm saying, take that energy over there and not worry about him. Let him or her do her thing and you elevate, elevate yourself.
Right, right.
'Cause at the end of the day, like, it's a
So
competition.
yeah, so basically, so you're saying like basically just let them do them.
Yeah.
You go do you. Basically.
There's a lot of good people here, man. Like,
Well, not only that,
business-wise, like,
I think, see, I have a different stance on that because, we've been in business 26 years, right? So, and so the other companies that do what I do, transportation, right? It becomes, to me, there's no competition because the only thing I'm trying to do is improve my own process, right? My own organization and improving that way. So for me, I like to lock arms with like-minded companies, with companies that do what I do, especially, so I'm in the transportation business, and so the people who haul for the same company I haul for, I personally make it a point to befriend them because we're in the same industry. We're all trying to just make a living. And so we lock arms. That means that we could share off of each other what's working for you, what's not working for you. Hey, what about new policies and procedures? With everything changing, with DOT all the time, it's important that we stay abreast of all the new laws. Well, you know what? You would have to really sit there all day. But if you have, your resources with the other companies, then you can, just unite.
Right.
But a lot of people have that mentality of it's a competition thing. There's enough for everybody to
There's
go
enough
around.
for
I was
everyone.
gonna say,
There
I mean,
literally is,
not one
but
company
you have to
serves
be on that
300,000
level.
people. Yeah.
So when you realize where somebody's coming from, if they, you could take it like, oh, well, they're hating or, but really it's because sometimes people come from nothing and build, and they've put everything into it. And so they may see it as a competition only because, they've pulled themselves out of a grave, but I think if we are just more educated and mature, for lack of a better word, you know, to
Yeah.
say like, no, you're not my competition. We're in the same industry,
Yeah.
but let's help. Let's help one another. You know, and not everybody has that attitude, but I do.
Yeah.
You know, because that's the only way you succeed
Well,
and grow.
I always said
and evolve.
the toughest business to deal with people who hate is food business.
Mm.
It's very hard because
Yeah. I've heard some stories.
bro,
just being-
like you
yeah.
know, and I don't ever comment on other people's stuff that they do, whether they have issues with somebody.
Yeah.
When they ask me, I don't even go. I mean, you can go on my social media, and I've never like bashed a place because of bad business, right? So I always say it like this: I'll go eat anywhere, and I don't mind paying whatever it costs. First time I go eat, maybe you just had a bad day. You know what I'm saying? I'll give it a second try. There's no
Right.
third chance with me because I'm like, okay, so it's already twice. I'm just not going to keep donating to you, but I'm not going to go on social media and be like, oh, don't ever go eat at this. They're trying,
Right.
because at the end of the day, there are small businesses trying to make a living for themselves.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
but if you came and asked me, AP, what do you think about so and so? I'll never eat there.
Mm.
And if you ask me, I'm gonna tell you why my experience.
Yeah.
Now you probably could have gone and be like, man, it was the best I ever had. Well, your palates aren't my palate. So I went twice. I won't go donate a third time. I just not gonna go and bash them,
Yeah.
you know, at their lowest because maybe they went through something and it just it because food
Lost
you
their
have to be
foot.
consistent for 7 days. You can't be different on Sunday. And you were, you know what I'm saying? You decided to be one way Monday through Saturday. And you're like, oh, let me change something up on Sunday. People that know food and be like, you did something different and it's not good. So guess what happened? It's not like a corporate. Like how many times have we all complained about McDonald's? Go and leave something like, oh man, place chat. Well, guess
Yeah.
what? 2 days later, you're back at McDonald's.
Yeah.
But that's a corporate level. They can take those type of hits.
Right.
A small business can't. So when you go and you insult the place for them trying to make something, that tarnishes them. Because I said social media will destroy them.
Yeah.
You know, you can go destroy McDonald's. They're still going to make $1 billion, and you're still going to go back in 3 or 4 days and go get you some chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
But if you go and you bash a local sandwich store, you know, barbecue store, whatever like that's devastating. You know what I'm saying? Because it is a small. You know what I mean? You don't know what you know what I mean? You know, they could have been in business for 25 years, but barely making it. You know what I mean? But you know, that's still their business.
Yeah.
So I always, you know what I mean? You know, people call me all the time like, hey Pete, you know what I mean? You know, you're real big up into the barbecue world, man. What's your tip on this? I said, look, I can only tell you what works for me. You know what I'm saying? That's it. And I'm not gonna ever tell you that, oh, I invented this. No, I took a formula from somebody else and twisted my own and created something that I felt that worked for Pete.
That's
how
cool.
Pete cooks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
You're like they're like a brand basically.
Right.
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Like,
'Cause I
like
said
for food or
Because
whatever.
I always
it
tell
is.
people, they're like, well, I created, I said, so did you make the salt? Did you make the pepper? Did you grow your own foods? Did you make your own bread? Did you kill your own cow? Did you do all this stuff? Then no, then it's not yours. It's not yours. You know what I'm saying? You took a brand from somebody else and you twisted yours. And you created something that worked for you, which
Yeah.
is, there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody in this world takes from somebody. You know what I'm saying? You know, because people could sit there like, oh, well, you know, we go back to the first person who ever created a podcast. And so now you're going to bash everybody that started a podcast? No.
Right. Exactly.
No, because you know what I'm saying? You know, everybody's different.
It's
you
like
know what I mean?
negative. That's negative energy,
Negative
man.
energy. It's just, and it's
What's
just,
up, D Jolie Ponsmons? Thanks for joining the chat and YouTube.
you know what I mean? It's just, you know, some people
Negative
just,
energy,
yeah,
bro.
you know what I mean? There's no need for it. Like I said, we're getting older. We're not younger. When we were younger, we gravitated to the negativity. We
Yeah.
thrived
Yeah,
for it.
no more. We're too old for
Now I'm
that,
like,
you know?
bro, I don't even like, you know what I mean? Like, I stay
What caused y'all to change? Was it a certain moment in your life, or did you just like how did you become to like, I want to be like this now instead of like this? You know what I mean?
That's what they say, right? They just say the older you get, the wiser you get.
Right.
I'm saying that's been the same thing. I mean, I remember my dad telling me, like, said, when you get older, you'll get wiser. Right now, you're just cabezudo. You know what I mean? And it's true.
Right.
I'm saying, because when you get older, you know, like I couldn't tell you the last time I've been to a club, a bar. I just don't go. You know what I'm saying? I did that. You know what I mean? You know, and I went to all these crazy bars when we used to come up and down People's Street and all stuff in the 90s. You know what I mean? The early 2000s. But it's just, you know, it's not the same. You know what I mean? You got these, you know what I mean? You got these young people that just don't know how to act anymore. And so it makes you almost feel uncomfortable to even go and have a good time or take your family out and do something. Like, you know what I mean? It's just not worth it anymore. You know what I mean? So my turning point was just, how can Pete be a better person? How can I elevate myself that way that if somebody sees me, they'll be like, man, Pete, you know what I mean? I was walking the same path you were walking, and man, and I saw what you did. So if it worked for you, I want to see if it works for me.
Oh well.
Come on, bro, join the team. Come on, let's
Influence
do it.
and being the influence to others.
Let's change together. You know what I'm saying? Like instead of pushing you away and maybe you're going through something, you know what I'm saying, that could lead to something bad. Why don't you come over, man? Let's talk. You know what I'm saying, you know, and I'll tell you, man, I've cried with more men than I've ever cried in my life. You know what I'm saying? Because at one point I just had this mentality like, oh man, I don't want everybody to see me cry. You know what I'm saying? You know, this now, man, bro, I got guys, I got men that they'll call me like, man, bro, I'm going through it. What's up? Pull up. Let's talk about it. I mean, you know, you want to cry? Let's cry.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know, because
That's a prideless thing, like being able to talk about your
and I
problems.
was any real man that can sit there and say, oh, I was never prideless, he's a lie. Because we've all held this, oh, I got too much pride to ask for help or do this. Remember, if I feel like I'm at that place, I think I know enough people that if I had to make that, I could do it without being judged. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the thing, what I said before, you know, it's hard for people just to be transparent and just to be authentic. Simply, also, you know, so we said social media is a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing. I think there's a lot of influence on certain way that people feel they have to be. And so I believe that wholeheartedly, you know, like it really can go either way. And sometimes it does put a really negative effect to where people feel like they suffer in silence for the fear of being judged or rejected, you know. And so a lot of, you know, I read this quote that says, we all have chapters in our lives that we don't like to read out loud. And that kind of, it bothered me for the fact that, well, why don't we read those chapters out loud? Because the fear of being judged, you know,
We're
that
creatures of
we
habit,
go through
you know?
life,
We're
but
creatures
life
of habit.
happens, you know.
Yeah.
It's not always peaches and cream, you know. And for us to be vulnerable enough to share that, I believe that's where healing takes place. For other, like, you know, for people going through the same thing to know, like, oh wow, you're going through it too.
Well, not only that, like say sometimes you do share, but then that person betrays your,
that too,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So maybe we don't know who to trust to be able to talk to about it. That's another thing too. And then social media, like you got people looking a certain way, they have it all together or whatever, and then you try to talk to them and you don't know if that person is gonna, you know,
Be genuine,
Yeah.
and care, because there's a
respect
lot of
your
people who
thoughts.
don't care or respect, but then there's a lot of people that you know,
Oh, yeah.
genuinely do.
yeah. I'm just
That
saying
do,
that could
but
be a
it can
reason.
go
That could
both
be
ways,
like
yeah.
a reason. Yeah.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, this is cool. This is a cool conversation. I'm glad there's people like you in the city, you know what I mean? Because there's a lot of negativity in our city. And even people from outside the city that see it and they're like, oh, you're from Corpus. That's like a crappy place to be or whatever,
Right.
you know? Yeah, definitely. So just to know that this is here and that hopefully people can watch and be like, oh, this is out there, you know, instead of just bad stuff that's out there and just you being an influence to your kids and just all the stuff you're talking about. It makes me think about, and I touch on this every now and then, like about the importance of fathers in the community. You know what I mean? Having a father around that can play a big, I can have a huge impact in our society,
For sure.
in our community.
Well,
You know what I'm
I
saying?
always say it like this, right? I mean, a father is just as good as a mother. Like you need both. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I said, I got 5 girls and I don't think I could have excelled with them without their mothers present. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like a young boy. I mean, a woman can't raise a man to teach him how to be a man. There has to be some type of
Right.
father figure, something to teach him how to be a man. You know, just like I mean, I didn't know what to do with my girls. You know what I mean? And teaching them how to be a woman, I didn't know.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I grew up with the sense of like moms take care of girls, dads take care of boys. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it was hard for me. You know what I mean? And I just, you know, I learned in even doing this community work, man, made me be a better father. You know what I'm saying?
Cool.
Like it opened up my eyes to see a lot.
Right.
Because at any given moment, as many kids that I've had to bury, at any moment, it could be one of my kids. You know what I'm saying? Just going to the grocery store. It doesn't have to be that they're going through any type of domestic violence. It should be going to the grocery store. You know what I'm saying? You know, and, you know, get T-boned or, you know, get caught in crossfire from road rage or whatever, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's awesome point that you guys bring up. We got an hour and four, so let me see. I lost track where I was at here. This is a good conversation. Let's see. Personal challenges. Share personal story of overcoming adversity. Talking about personal challenges and resilience. I guess we shared about that stuff
Yeah,
already.
yeah.
Kind of. It's awesome. Looking forward. Future plans. What's one thing you're looking forward to this
Um,
year?
man, just
Doing
keep the
more.
positive going. Keep the. I mean, and it's something we all three talk about a lot. It's just keeping the same regimen of of knowing that the community can trust us
Can actually come together.
and come together, and there's no negativity. You know what I mean? The like, it's just a beautiful thing, man. And it's one of the things that you have to show up at one of the events. And when you look at it, and I always tell people, I said, when you come there, don't walk up, just sit back and just look.
Mm-hmm.
Just look at everything
Mm-hmm.
and just see. You know what I mean? Like, what do you see when you walk up to a benefit that's for whatever reason it's we're doing one, and tell me how you feel after you walk away from that. Because I can tell you what I do this when we got everything going good, and even when we're packed, sometimes I just step back and I look and I'm just like, man, this is beautiful. Like, wow, like and then I look at it, I was like, man, we created this. Like, we brought all this many people together that probably hate each other. You know what I'm saying? But you see the embracing, you see the hugging, conversations. You know what I mean? And then with those conversations, we're hearing like, hey, I didn't want to tell you, but I lose my mom, and then it's a conversation. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, hey, do you think? I'm like, bro, yeah, I got a team of people. Come on, let's make it happen.
Cool.
Or, my daughter's going through, you know what I mean, leukemia. She's going through like all kinds of. I get calls
Yeah.
daily, messages like just crazy for, and we try to make it. We try to make it for what I mean, everybody. You know what I mean, but at the end of the day, there's only one day. There's only 2 days in the weekend that you can do things when you got like 30 people, and I hate to say sometimes we're getting to the point where it's just like, okay, how are we going to do this? Because they're all critical. You know what I mean? Like, that's all
Yeah.
critical. We don't want to tell
We don't
anybody
want to say
no.
no.
You know
What
I
do you
mean?
mean? What do you mean?
So like let's just say hypothetically, like right now I'm talking to you right now, there's a listener that's listening, and he reaches out to me with, hey, December 25th, I want to do, what I'm saying, my wife, we're in the same conversation. Somebody messages her and tells her the same thing. Hey, I got something for December
wow.
25th. Then
It's
that
happened
same
before.
thing, and it's
Yeah.
happened
Wow,
where
that's
we're all like,
Yeah.
okay, so what do we do?
So we
We've
usually
done-
will split.
No, but we've had to, and I've done this where I've done and cooked for 3 benefits at one time.
Oh wow.
And I've had like 5 barbecue pits
Oh my
plus
gosh.
Bertha out there because I gave my word that we're going to do it. So they're like, Pete, why you guys with me? I said, well, that's for a benefit that's on the other side of Corpus.
Yeah.
So, and Bertha's
These are
for
the
here.
turkey legs for Carol.
Yeah,
and
you
this
know,
is for
like that we've done 3 benefits at one time. And, and it goes back to like
You
what we
make it
said, like,
happen
if you don't
somehow.
have the heart for it, it's going to eat you alive.
Oh.
You're going to be like, this is too much. It's breaking me.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you want you to take a step back.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And compose yourself. I said, because I could do this all day long.
Yeah.
Like I've trained myself now, and I was like that in the beginning. Like I was stressed out, like, oh my God, because people always tell you, "Hey, Pete, I'm gonna pull up. I'll help you." And the time comes, nobody shows up. You know what I mean? And now it's just like
Done a few times.
now we get. I don't want to say too much help because there's no such thing as too much help, but next but now we can breathe and like
Take a little
okay.
break.
Is it,
now.
Take a
is
little
it
break.
because you made a name for yourself up to that point? And then they're like, okay, let me help. You think that's possibly what it is?
I
'Cause
think
you
it's
said-
also the people that want to just
They just
pay it
yeah.
forward,
Yeah.
that come and they just want to
So
help.
like Arise Dad.
Mhm.
There's not a day that he sees that I post something that I'm going to do something that he doesn't call me. Hey Pete, what do you need? You know what I'm saying? The grandmother. Hey Pete, what do you need?
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And then for
Mark Solis,
yeah,
the firefighter.
the firefighter
a
that we
good
did.
friend, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Same thing.
those
He would
guys
always
just,
call,
they just call and it's just like, man, it's,
or he would
I
show
love
up.
it. You know what I mean? Like I love it. It warms my heart. You know what I mean? That, people feel safe knowing that there's people that are really doing positive things. You know what I mean? And we stick to it. So it's not like we do it good on this month and we do like, we're consistent on how we organize. People think like, oh, man, it can't be that hard to organize. Well, then do one and let me know how it works out for you.
Oh yeah, there's a
I'll
lot of
tell you one
moving
thing, it's
parts.
stressful.
A lot of moving.
It's very
parts
stressful. So
to
we
it.
got to the point now where, we let the women inside and the men stay outside with the barbecue. We don't even, and before Megan and everybody would come up, like it was me having to be inside, making sure everything's being done
So
right.
now
And
he's
run
like,
outside
here,
and
you
get the
got
pit.
this.
So now I pawn it all off on all the women that show up. Like, hey, it's like a kitchen, right? You don't get in the woman's kitchen when they're cooking. I'll
And
be
then
out
when
there.
he does, we tell him to get out.
You know what I mean? I'm out here barbecue. Y'all tell me what I mean. When it's time to make some more sausage or
That's
pull
cool.
some more pork or cut some briskets or whatever. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
And so going back to Araya, I wanted to say, so it's Jimmy's birthday tomorrow, Araya's dad.
Okay.
So shout out to Jimmy.
Yeah.
Happy birthday
Happy
to
birthday,
him.
Jimmy.
Wonderful
And
man. He's a
so
wonderful man.
he really is. And so this was his only child.
Yeah.
And
sure,
so tomorrow our hearts will be with him, thoughts and
Check it out, Ma.
prayers. Yeah. So
Oh, I was DJ. Nice.
Yeah, thanks a lot, DJ Certified Elite. Yeah, we mentioned Pete's GoFundMe earlier. So do you have a page for that still?
Yeah. It's still up in.
Okay,
it's still
where
up
where
in-
do we where can we find the page? It's on your personal page
Personal.
or?
Yes, yeah, it's on my page. It's been it's been
We've
shared a
shared it.
lot. It's been shared a lot.
Okay,
So
cool.
it's, you know what I mean. So it's there, and like I said, man, you know what I mean. She's gonna get fixed the way she needs to get fixed to
Yeah.
continue, man. And and like I said, I've had people from out of state, they're like, hey, man, we want to buy her. I'm like,
Nope.
I can't.
I'm
Like,
not gonna sell.
they like, you know what I
I'm
mean?
not
Like,
in the
like,
market.
I mean, I said, of course, anybody would like a big lump of money like that sitting in their bank account. But that type of money is not going to move
Hmm.
what the purpose of what she's for. You know what I mean? Like, and then I got asked the question yesterday. They're like, man, Pete, Lord forbid something happens to you. Where's Bertha go? I said, Bertha's going to go where she needs to go. She's going to
She got a
continue to
spot.
do. She's
Shout out
going to
to
continue doing. You know what I mean? What she did. Shout out to my boy Ryan Reese, because without him, he's me when I'm not here, and he's having to do other cooking. So we're cooking tonight
Oh
for
wow.
tomorrow, and then we're going to be again cooking for another benefit for Sunday.
Oh wow.
So
we have
Bertha's
two
back to back. She's never going to be turned off. She's gonna be cooking like crazy. So shout out to my boy
So what
Ryan.
do y'all do? Y'all sell plates, I guess. So what's on the plate? Y'all making me hungry
So
already.
tomorrow, like that, we got
Tomorrow and Sunday are pulled
tomorrow
pork.
Sunday pulled pork,
Okay.
with sausage, chips, and a drink.
So it's different every time.
Well,
Y'all
okay,
just
It
so
depends what
there's a
Depends on-
backstory to this. So
Okay.
when I first got Bertha, it was all about doing lake quarters, right? So Bertha can hold roughly about 800 lake quarters at one time, and it's a lot of work when you're dealing with that many lake quarters,
yeah.
right? So I changed things up, and I started when people would call me, they're like, "Hey, Pete, I want to do a lake quarter benefit." I'm like, "Cool," and then I was like, "Hey, what do you think about pulled pork?" They're like, "Oh, I love pulled pork." I said, "Well, look, if you're buying everything, let me tell you how much cheaper it's going to be versus buying, 36 cases or 50 cases of lake quarters." Because we were
And
doing
on
a
top
thou-
of that, we got to get donations for rice, beans,
that's the most-
potato salad.
that's
a
a
lot.
headache,
Yeah,
and it's
a lot.
messy.
Yeah.
Messy. So
Yeah.
one day I was just like, no, like every time they call and tell me they want to do lake quarters, I'm gonna talk them out of it
Yeah.
because it's it's a lot of work. But if that's what they want, we'll do it. But I'm like, hey, what do you think about pulled pork? I
You
said,
can't even do brisket anymore,
you
right? With the
can't-
prices.
we
There ain't no
I
brisket
said,
benefits.
you're gonna get $12 for a plate,
We haven't done one in a
and you
while.
can get $12 for the same pulled pork with sausage, chips, and a drink with
Mm-hmm.
less work.
Let's work.
So they're like, oh, so every time we do one now, it's pulled pork. You know what I'm saying? Because I've,
been doing
I'm a pulled pork person. I'll take pulled pork over brisket any day. So I always,
I'm already hungry,
everybody's
right?
everybody's a king in their way on how they cook. But when it comes to pulled pork, I'm making, 700-800 pounds of it every time when it does a benefit. And
Oh, but your
the pork's
chicken's
cheaper than the
so
chicken?
good too, though.
But
Oh
it
my
depends on the
God.
workload.
yeah, it just depends on whatever like's going on in the economy, because right now pork is at an all-time high, and it's never been like that.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And lake quarters kind of has, it's plateaus where it's at. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get like $30 a box. There's roughly like 45 pieces in the box.
And boxing.
But it's just the work versus just putting a
It's a
pork
lot
butt in a
more work
barbecue
on-
pit.
on-
You know what I mean? Like you put them
lot
on
of
there and just
flipping
waiting, and all you're doing is shredding it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
They just
Chicken, you
fall
got to
off
make
the
sure
bone.
you got the internal
The
tip.
rack is bigger than the actual lake quarter, right? So the pork, it's
I just, I mean, they call
okay.
it a Boston
It's
butt,
like
right?
the same size as
Pork
the.
butt.
So it's a little bit bigger than the chicken.
Oh, so
So you can
if
fit
you,
less. That's what I'm saying. You fit less on the pit as opposed to just a leg quarter.
But it feeds
yeah,
more.
yeah, it feeds more.
No,
Yeah,
no, yeah, no. I'm just saying I'm trying to see how the workload is
oh,
less.
Oh.
You
oh
know
yeah,
what I mean?
because so
Well, like you
like
got to season the
Well,
chicken,
Yeah.
you have
all
the
of
chicken,
them.
yeah, you have
Yeah.
to season
you
all.
gotta
You have to.
stack it. You,
Yeah.
somebody's like playing Tetris. You ever
No.
play Tetris? That's how you got to stack these leg quarters in there so that you get enough of them in one tray. So Bertha's got 8 trays, so she's got 8 doors, and she's double racked.
Holy smokes!
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So, like
That's
I
a
said,
lot of work.
she holds. You know what I mean, that's a lot of work. You know
Well,
what I mean? And
well, the sides, the
The
bread,
sides is
you
a
know, the
lot of work.
bags, the pickles, and so there's a lot of moving parts
Yeah.
to it. You know, of
Yeah.
doing a benefit in general,
well,
but more
well, see,
so with the
and
quarters.
what I liked about meeting Jenny and Megan and so many other people that helped me was just like they were doing it, and then when it got to the point where they were seeing the magnitude of it, they're like, and not like, hey, this ain't even the biggest one we're gonna do. Like it's gonna get bigger. You know what I mean? Like it's just a blessing. You know what I mean? Just seeing and just seeing that the family doesn't have to think about one thing while they're grieving.
Right.
Because nobody wants to go sit down in front of a funeral home. Who's like, yeah, I want to pick the casket. I want the pink, and then it gets emotional. Then they're like, you know what I mean? Nobody wants that. So that was just always my thing. Like, you know what I mean? How can we take just a little bit of pain away from them? You know what I mean? And be like, okay,
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about the money part. We got you.
Mm.
I'm saying, this is what this is what we're gonna do. And like I said, I mean, we've done some where we've raised $50,000. I mean,
Cool.
30,000, 20,
Right on.
like you know what I mean. And it's just a blessing to be able to know that these young kids, and like I'll go back to what I said, I've buried more kids than I ever want to think about.
Mhm.
But the fact that how beautiful they were laid to rest is just like I can't explain the feeling I get when I see it, because
Yeah.
normally when I do a benefit, if I'm not close to that family already, I kind of just cut my ties. You know what I mean? They know they can reach out to me,
Yeah.
and I still follow on Facebook and I see. And some of them, man, it's just like, all right is one that is just I can't get over this.
Mm.
I can't, you know what I mean?
Wow.
Because I talk with the dad. I mean, like, we're always on text
Yeah.
message. We're always, the grandmother, they follow me on Facebook, and they're always there to help me with no matter what.
She's Rita Allen. That's the
Oh, there-
grandmother right now that
Hi,
commented
Rita.
on there.
Shout out
Hi,
to
Rita.
Rita.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rita Allen on YouTube says, "Thank you,
Yes.
Pete, Megan, and Jenny for sharing your guys' story and wishing Jimmy a happy birthday. Love you guys."
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, no, and like I said, Jimmy, I mean, he's a wonderful, wonderful guy. You know what I'm saying? Very passionate about, his daughter, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I can
It's-
imagine losing a daughter, man.
bro.
Well, in that manner, especially, I don't think it's something you
Mm.
will ever get over, ever. The life is altered forever. And so it's a beautiful thing that she's who brought us together, brought us together, that, we
Mhm.
can do what we do. We did it on a personal level, and to be able to unite, so tomorrow we need to show up for Pete, so for his brother. So don't let the weather scare you, whoever's listening.
Where y'all
to
gonna be
us.
posted up at?
At the VFW on Ayers, right next to Rent-A-Tire, across the street from the Pizza Hut.
Okay.
Definitely want to give them a shout out every
Yes.
time we have a benefit. My,
Yes,
my dad
yeah.
is actually part of the
What-
VFW there.
Oh, the VFW. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's been
2397.
since I met that
Post-
man. Every time I call him, I'm like, "Hey, Pops." I call him Pops,
Mhm.
right? His name's Alfredo, but I call him Pops. I'm like, "Hey, Pops, I need to use it." Okay, just give me a date. There's no
Nice.
questions asked. And then when he found out, because he follows me on Facebook, so when he knew this was my little brother, that's, you know what I mean? Because I said, I knew eventually, you know what I'm saying, this day would come where
Wow.
I'd have to do this, you know what I mean? So me doing this, and then, my other brothers flew down to be a part of this, you know what I'm saying? So, and they're meeting people that are telling, they're like, "Man, you don't know what your brother means to this city." Like,
Mm.
I can't put into words, you know what I'm saying, what your brother means to the city and what he does. So now that I'm having to do this for my brother, that's very close to, you know what I mean, no longer being here, is just like, it's a personal level for me. It's real emotional
Yeah.
for me, because now I'm cooking with emotion, versus when I'm doing a benefit for somebody else, it's not
Yeah.
emotional. Like, it's, you know what I'm saying, it's just something that I feel that has to be done. So now, like Jenny said, like, some of my friends are like, "Pete, now it's time for us to show up for you." And I'm like, y'all do. Y'all just don't realize that you do. Like anytime I do something, like it's you guys show up. He's like, you know, like my buddy showed up there. He said, yeah. He said, but you know, this is for you and for your little brother. You know what I'm saying? You know, he's been battling stage 4 colon cancer for going on 5 years now, and you know, and that's another thing that you know I was to, you know, us men, man, we need to keep ourselves checked, man. We need to go get checked because. You know, I know we're you know, like my mom calls us cabezudos, you know what I mean? Because we're like, I don't need to go to the doctor. And, you know what I mean? You know, living starts with health. I mean, living starts with health. You know what I mean? If you know what I mean? And we're creatures of habit. We're going to mess up. We, you know, like, I'm going to go get a torta real quick. You know, that's good. Because you got all these people here that make great food. Not everybody's out there selling high protein sandwiches. You know what I'm saying? You know, so because you look at that, you're like, and the kind of over there, man. You know,
You need to collaborate and have a benefit with healthy food.
I don't think anybody's out there like,
Hey, big fat-
I think we might lose on that one.
Well, the beginning of every year, because everybody's on that New Year, New Me, you know, type of deal. But yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, everybody, like I said, we'll be there from 11 to
Yeah.
sell out tomorrow. You know, always thank you to, you know, Megan and Jenny for always having my back and just knowing what this one means to me. You know, I mean, this is very personal for me, my family. So, you know, I mean, I'm grateful to be able to just see, you know, everybody tomorrow show up. And like I said, you're going to get that. I promise you, I'll put my pulled pork against anybody's. You know what I mean? Like I stand on business when it comes
Nice.
to pulled pork.
That's
yeah,
cool.
you know what I mean? Because you know, I'm cooking in a large magnitude of it, right? You know what I mean? You know, so it's, you know, I'm cooking almost 800 pounds
hard,
tomorrow. Yeah, you know,
That's hard. It's
you know,
hard.
and,
like,
and,
that
and shout out
consistency
to
and all of them.
shout out to all the barbecues out there that do the same thing I do. Because there's a lot of men and women that do it on their terms and not so much on the magnitude of what we do. You know what I'm saying? So I always when I see other people doing it, I salute them. I go pull up. I donate. You know what I mean? I help out. I'll go buy plates or I'll tell them, hey man, you know, charge me for 50 plates, man. Just give them away for the next 50 people that show up, right?
Yeah.
You know, and that's another thing that I do with my small business friends that have food trucks. I go there and I'm just, hey man, you know, they might have a slow day. I'm saying, hey man, I'm gonna cash out for 50 bucks. Next 5 plates, just donate it. You know what I'm saying? So
That's a
you know,
good idea.
just go on your live and just be like, hey man, you know what I'm saying? You know, somebody paid it 4 or 5 plates, first 5 people to show up. Next thing you know, you got people just, they're like, oh, and then they may have not have known about your food, but they saw the opportunity to get something for free.
Yeah.
And then it just, you know what I'm saying, you know,
Yeah, that's
it
cool.
goes forward. So I do that with, you know, I mean, a few of my friends that I know that really work hard and got really good food. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, there's a lot of people coming. That's one thing Corpus has. You can't go down one street and somebody's selling food. Somebody said you're gonna get, so anybody, you know what I mean, that's out there that don't got nothing to do, just drive down Staples, drive down Everhart. You know what I mean? There's a food truck out there.
Custorius.
Custorius everywhere, you know what I'm saying?
My neighbor has a food truck, so I want to.
What's the food truck name?
Gina's Cuisina. So she
Or
does
lumpia.
pancit
Oh,
and
my
lumpias.
If you want pancit and you want lumpias,
Yeah.
that
What
Yeah,
color's the
depending
truck?
on- It's actually red and black.
Okay.
I don't know. Look her
And
up.
she's
Gina
And she's on
Cuisina.
Custorius? She's
Yes,
on
she
Custorius? Okay.
usually parks at the Moravian.
Okay, okay, yeah, I know
Moravian,
what's that.
yeah,
and she's
Moravian
Filipino,
Hall.
so she's
So
not like a
good.
Mexican
She's
person. making-
Filipino,
She's
yes, and I love you, Gina.
Yeah, no, I got hooked onto it because of Megan. I was like, because we were always going to what's that place in Flower Bluff, the Filipino,
The Lumpia House.
the Lumpia
Lumpia
House.
House.
I'm like, nobody wants to go all the way to Flower Bluff.
Well, no, not
We're
on
not-
Staples.
Yeah, and then I saw, so I hit Megan. Hey, Megan, who's that? She's, I mean, she's a real good friend. She's my neighbor. I was like, hey, so then now she knows who I am. I'll just message her like, hey, put a tray and a dozen of lumpias to the side. And then I'll pull up and I'll go eat, man, because it's phenomenal.
And by the way, I think I send a lot of business to a lot of family owned,
Cool.
you know, because I snap all my food. Everyone that knows me knows I snap everything I eat. So every time I snap, they're like, oh man, that looks good. Where'd you get it from? So I put it in. They sure
That's
do. They
cool.
go. Joseph's Lunchbox. I mean, I'm very big on supporting local businesses, you know, the small local businesses.
Well,
and
and you know what?
that,
Honestly,
you know?
it's the owners of the local businesses that really show up.
Yes.
You know, that we're able
Yes.
to count on, that, you know, again, are behind the scenes, that donate,
Yes.
you know,
That's cool.
and
Yes.
that, you know, give right back into the community, but choose not to be, you know, in that light, you know, to say, you know, it's like, that's why I've always kind of done things behind the scenes, because my treasures are in heaven. You know, I like
I told
to
her the same thing that
just,
was told
you
to
know,
me.
put it out there,
I
you
told her,
know, but
Jenna, I
Pete
said,
says, you know, you
need to
gotta,
stop being behind
yeah, stop being behind the
people need to know
scenes.
who you are, because you do a wonderful thing. Like
Yeah.
you do a lot
Yeah.
that people need to know why you do it, so that, you know what I mean, it's not like you're trying to look for the blessings. I said, because it took that old lady for her to tell me, like, she goes, how do I help you if I don't know how to get a hold of you?
Yeah.
Mm.
He goes,
Yeah.
I don't have Facebook, I don't have Twitter, I don't have none of this stuff.
But
So,
it's literally the smaller businesses.
Mhm.
Like I have a good friend of mine, Juan Valdez. You know, he is amazing. He actually
JC.
donated. Yes,
Yes.
JC.
Mhm.
I mean, he literally
Shout out
when
to
he
JC. He
sees
donates
that
every single time.
I mean,
Mhm.
literally, even to
who's
you
your
know.
other friend, the one that,
I mean, and not $100. You're talking like
No.
$2,000. You know, cash app. Hey, if you're believing in this cause, I do
I
too.
support it.
Yeah.
And so he
He's
is.
a great person.
You know, so
Shout
that's what
out
I
to
mean. That
JC Valdez.
yes,
JC
we lock
Valdez, if
arms
you're
with
watching this.
with
Yes.
you know other business owners that you
Yeah.
know are blessed and give right back into the
Eric
community.
Cantu as
Yeah,
well.
Yes.
Eric
that's what I say.
Cantu.
Yeah, he's
Shout out to Eric Cantu. He's been a part of quite a bit of the benefits we've done.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then one more
That's
time,
cool.
shout out to my boy Ryan Reese, man, because
Yes.
without that dude, you know, it was a blessing meeting him, because he was able to form a heart like mine, and I feel like when I'm not here, he's representing me very well. You know what I mean? And he's there. He never says no when I tell him, hey bro, I'm working. You know, we got this family. He said, okay, just tell me where to go.
Mm.
He's the only one that has keys to Bertha to unlock her.
Right
You
on.
know, everybody else, you know, they're like, hey, people, because
was it
Bert-
difficult to find a person like that?
oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Because
it is, right?
Because you can ask anybody, and you know, you've had, you know, barbecue guys on your podcast before. When you're used to cooking a certain way, it's hard to trust somebody to cook like you.
Mm.
It's very hard. You know what I'm saying? You know, and to follow the same steps. And man, you know, sometimes I ask him, hey bro, can you cook a pork butt for me? He was like, you want to eat mine? Yeah, I taught you how to cook it. You know, so I trust you. You know, saying I trust you. So, and like I said, he doesn't know how to say no.
Good people.
Selfless.
Good people.
Ryan, like he's awesome. Like I said, you know, he's the only one that has a set of keys to Big Bertha. When he wants to pick her, he'll be like, hey bro, I'm gonna pick Big Bertha. Go get her. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, go get her. So, you know, and like I said, shout out to Big Bertha, man. She's doing her thing. You know what I mean? She's gonna continue, you know, doing what she was meant to do. You know what I'm saying? Because Mr. Cooper, he did this just on a different scale, because he always did it for the church.
Mm.
So when he built, you know, Big Bertha, he built it because of the church that him and his wife and family were involved with. So, and that's why he put the bell, you know what I mean, for the kids to be able to ring it. So,
Yeah.
you know, I felt that, you know what I mean, you know, when his wife was like, Pete, you remind me so much of my husband, because, you know, he doesn't know how to say no. He was always helping kids and stuff like that. So when she gave me the price that I was going to pay for it, I was just like, what? Like, yes. Like, you know, this is my dream. I mean, just looking at it, you were like, if you don't have a pit, you were like, man, I wish I had a pit like that. Because when I saw other people's pits, I admired. I was like, one day I'm going to get me one like that. And that blessing just came, and it came at the perfect time, because the next day we went to Uvalde. Like,
That's
literally.
actually how we actually met.
Yep.
Like actually got in
Mhm.
contact, right? Because when Uvalde happened, he saw my post, because
Mhm.
my friend Steven Garcia he lost his daughter in the Uvalde
Yep.
shooting. So Ellie Garcia, and so he reached out to me. He was like, "Hey, I saw that your friend, his daughter was one of the victims, and I want to go cook for them and all this stuff." And so I told him, "Well, reach out to him. Like, his name's Steven Garcia, like, because he was planning on going out there. I didn't get to go.
I met
out
all the
there.
families, man. And I'll tell you one thing,
Yeah.
man. Like, it's
Yeah.
horrible. Like, just driving into Uvalde, man, just gave me this horrible feeling. You know what I'm saying?
No.
You know, like, you know, it's because Uvalde's so small. It's a small community, and everybody knows everybody. So I got to meet all the families. You know what I'm saying? You know, the teachers and all the kids. So and then, you know, I had made a video, you know, dedicated to kids, and it was on my TikTok, and that video went viral, like over 1 million views, like, you know, because I got like up and personal, you know, with the families, and and the teachers, you know, and stuff like that. And then just going and seeing, like, man, it's just, even going now, like, it feels so fresh. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just feels so fresh and stuff like that. That kids, you know, had to endure that. You know what I mean? And just have to go through that. You know what I mean? It's just, you know, it just makes you think, like, what were they thinking before, you know, this idiot went in there and just unloaded, you know what I mean? And, you know, 9-year-old kids, you know what I'm saying? 9-year-old kids couldn't defend themselves, couldn't do nothing, you
Yeah.
know, and so, you know, it's something that, you know what I mean, like I said, I mean, I'll always support and go and do anything that they ask, you know what I mean, when it comes to helping them. So,
It's awesome, man. Well, thanks for you guys for coming on the podcast.
Appreciate that.
Is there anything else you guys want to share?
Just if you're out and about tomorrow, make sure to go VFW
Please, appreciate it.
2397.
Hold on.
Post.
Where's her camera, Maya? This one right here. Look into that the bottom
Which one?
the bottom camera
Oh,
and
Hi.
and
I'm just kidding.
promote it through that camera so we can recap.
yes. So inviting everyone out tomorrow. The VFW Post 2397 on 4441 Air Street. We're going to be doing the benefit for his brother, for Pete's brother. And then also Sunday, we're doing one at the Texas Nugget. And that is for a known DJ here, actually, DJ Ray Ray. So he's known in the Tejano community and things like that as well. So we want to thank Eric Ganthu for being able to lend us the place to have the benefit there as well. So just make sure to go by.
Yes.
Come on, come take a picture with Big Bertha.
Come through. Appreciate you guys, man. That's awesome.
Thank you for having us.
Well, I love what y'all are doing in the community. It's awesome. And just talking about this as far as like being an influence, like that's huge because, I mean, it's here in Corpus, but we don't see it. It's not in the limelight, you know. And I think that just talking about it is helpful.
Well, I'd like to give you your flowers, man, because I said I went through your when I found out about your thing real quick, I reached out to Jenny. I was like, hey, message this guy. You know what I mean, and find out what it's gonna take, right? You know what I mean? Because I went through your clips, and I just like the professionalism
Oh, cool.
of the way your videos are edited, the way the conversations, like you know what I'm saying, like you're having conversations that I feel that are on the level of like a Joe Rogan.
Cool.
You know what I mean? Other big podcasts, because you know you're allowing your guests to speak without you giving them, hey, well, I gave you this list of things to talk about. You know what I mean? Instead of just, you know, letting like, hey man, freestyle. I mean, tell me about Pete. Tell me about Jenny. Tell me about Megan.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Versus, you know, I got this card right here. I need you to go off this card right here. You know what I mean? There's a lot that I've seen that, you know, they're like, hey, well, I'm gonna send you this list. You know what I mean? I'm gonna send you this, and you know, this is what we're gonna talk about. I was like, well, is it about you or me? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, because if it's about me, then let me speak from the heart. I don't want to telegraph anything that has been pre-written or talk about anything that's pre-written. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's really talk about what community means, or
Cool.
you know, stuff like that. So, you know, I mean, shout out to Corpus Christi Originals
Appreciate
for
it, man.
having us, man. You know, what I mean?
Yes,
And
thank
you
you.
know,
Thank you very much.
you know, you got our prayers, and hope that it takes you to the next level of everything, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot. Yeah, I really like to. And I was listening to Joe Rogan earlier, and I told my wife, I was like, because people said that I'm like the Corpus of Joe Rogan of Corpus or whatever.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, what? And then I was listening to it today. He was talking to Mark Zuckerberg, and I was like, damn, I am kind of like Joe Rogan.
I just should feel that
But
way,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, dude. I mean, I like for people to share their story, like without, like, give them a fair shake. You know what I mean? I don't know how you call it or whatever. Because I've had people on here. Oh, you can have that person on there, or you can have. I'm like, why not? You know what I mean? I'm like that even outside of the podcast. I'll just give somebody a fair. It could, because I think I learned this from my dad, and my dad taught my grandmother taught my dad, like, when you first meet somebody, just be respectful to them, because you never know that if they're gonna cross your path again later. And that I think that I carry that with me along in this podcast. And another thing, like, I read the Bible and stuff. There's a verse in there that talks about that a wise person, like, he draws the person's thoughts out to light. You know what I mean? And that's another thing that I kind of like try to do with one of what I'm doing here. You know what I mean? Like, all the stuff you're talking about, it's something that comes out, and I think that it's helpful for us, for the people listening. So it's kind of like that influence that you're trying to do with what you're doing. That's along the same lines that I'm doing. So yeah, thanks a lot for that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, man.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. It's a privilege and honor to be here and share
Absolutely.
Welcome.
what we do.
Thanks a lot, everybody in the chat. If there's nothing else y'all want to share, do y'all want to share maybe like how we find you guys, or I'll put some links to y'all's profiles and stuff like that underneath on the description.
Oh, and Big Bertha got an Instagram, so you guys look, I'll send you the link, man. Y'all go look, y'all follow her. I'll post all, you know, pictures and videos of what your benefits that we do and stuff like that. So I'll send you
What's
the
it?
link.
What's the handle? The at sign
It's at Big Bertha.
at Big Bertha.
And you'll see a
Okay.
picture of her.
Okay.
You'll be able to see. I mean, her profile.
Yeah, I'm gonna go
pictures
follow
and-
that one. I think if I'm not following, I'll go follow that
Yeah,
one. For sure.
yeah, man. Like she's and my buddy in Dallas is the one that told me, say, bro, he says, why are you not letting her get her flowers? I said, what are you talking about?
Oh,
He's just like, give her own page. I was like,
dude, it's,
What?
dude on
Wow.
TikTok. Oh, you put it on TikTok, bro. You know how many people doing barbecue on TikTok?
Oh yeah.
I already got to that point. I mean, I got a decent following on, you know what I mean, on,
Oh, right
on
on, yeah.
TikTok. So, you know what I mean, I'm slowly getting into where, I'm just start dedicating that to her. You know what I mean?
And it's tough too because you have all these things, all these social medias you gotta like take care of and stuff like that.
It's
Right.
hard.
So it's like, damn, I gotta do one for every single one, and then there's more coming out. I'm like, can't
sure.
keep track of all this stuff. But yeah, so follow Big Bertha's page. We didn't talk about your music or anything like that. Do we follow you on Megan?
My music page is
yeah,
Megan Chapa.
Megan Chapa.
Music.
And then Jenny Lee. Jenny Lee had her what? You had your 75. What was it or something
Oh,
like
so
that?
75 hard.
75 hard.
So I
Hey.
finished the 75 hard on December 31st, but I'm currently on day 10 of phase 1.
No.
So I've taken it 85 days. I'll go 105 days
Oh,
through.
man.
So
Shut up.
yeah.
Shout out.
Super
Proud of you.
yeah, it's
Proud of
not
you.
an easy thing, but it's definitely, one of those
It's
things
hard to look
where
at a double meat with cheese. and
It's
walk away from
hard,
it.
especially when you're a driver. I'm a driver, bro.
Right.
Yeah, I stop at the truck stop. Like, do I get an apple and an orange, or do I get one of these pizza two slices for $8 or whatever? You know what I mean?
And
yeah.
nowadays they're the same price, so I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm
exactly,
go for the pizza.
exactly.
Yeah.
Very proud of you, Jenny.
Thank you.
Right on.
So it's not a weight challenge.
Oh,
It's-
okay.
It's actually a mental challenge.
Yeah.
It's
Oh.
a mental toughness challenge of, so the only way you fail is if you choose not to complete your daily tasks. So, for instance, I
So you
think
always got to
what
be
keeps
completely
me
honest with yourself.
right. So you have to have integrity
Yep.
is what it comes down to, right? So
Ooh.
integrity is not taught. You either have it or you don't. And so, for instance, if we're required to drink a gallon of water a day, if you drink 127 ounces, you failed. You go back to day one.
Oh, back
You
to
know,
day one.
back to day
Woo!
one. So
tough.
for me, I've spent many nights, mornings, 4:00 in the morning awake, still getting my tasks done, but there's no failing is not an option. Failing is not an option. I'm going to do something, like we said, it's wholeheartedly. So I've
have
put
to.
everything into this, but to better myself, to pull myself out. It just makes you be on your A game.
Right.
So this year, not playing small, doing a lot of great things, collaborating together, hopefully to do something big for the homeless community, and just being better in general ourselves, to be better people, for ourselves, number one, our families, and the people who depend on us.
Right
So,
on.
Amen.
Amen to that. Thanks for sharing.
Thanks
a lot, you guys. This is like our third goodbye. This is
Yeah.
this is the customary South Texas
Yeah, yeah.
goodbye.
You just like us. Okay.
Well, hopefully soon we'll be back again, man. And,
Yes.
we'll have more things to talk about.
Right on.
So,
Thanks a lot, you guys, for joining the podcast. Stay tuned for the next episode, which will probably I dropped down to once a month. So next month there'll be somebody on here. If you have any suggestions, shout them out. Suggestions for these guys or comments for them, leave it in below. Leave it. It'll be on YouTube if you want to rewatch it. And I also post clips on all my social media. Just look for me, Corpus Christi Originals, and you'll find me there. Also, shop merch. I got a merch store.
Yes.
We actually started, if you don't know this, we started as a brand before a podcast. So the podcast is they're mixed together. So we got, if you want to help support the podcast or even just what I'm doing, you can buy some merch on CorpusChristiOriginals.com.
need that.
But thanks a lot, you guys. Have a good one. Bye. Maya, shout out to Maya back there, our producer, for
Yeah,
making
Maya.
this look
Thank you,
nice out here.
Maya.
And see y'all later. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.